Good evening. My name is Ben Englander. Ohel and Assemblyman David Weprin have a long-standing friendship that we are very proud of. We appreciate he and his wife Ronnie joining us every year at our gala so we can recognize him. Assemblyman Weprin continues to be a staunch supporter of Ohel in Albany, enabling Ohel to provide important services to hundreds of individuals and families every day. Ladies and gentlemen, Assemblyman David Weprin.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you for everything you do for Ohel. It's a great pleasure for me to join you once again in person this time, and it's been a rough 2 years, but obviously the worst is behind us and the best is ahead of us. And once again, David Mandel and his entire team, Amy and company at Ohel, do such a phenomenal job, and they really, it's really been even harder during the pandemic, and Ohel has been there throughout the last 2 years as well as throughout everything, and they really do such a great job. I was in the council for 8 years. I've been in the assembly now for 12 years, so I've been an elected official for 20 years, and in each and every position I'm in, I try to help Ohel because Ohel really does God's work. They really do. They do such phenomenal things, and I know we're all going to hear about it tonight. So I want to congratulate all the honorees, and it's great to see everybody in person.
Assemblyman Simcha Eichenstein represents thousands of Ohel's clients. He has immersed himself in Ohel's mission. Thank you for your tireless effort and dedication. We are very happy to be partnering with you in continuing to make the community stronger. Ladies and gentlemen, Assemblyman Simcha Eichenstein.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much. It's great to be here tonight with all of you celebrating Ohel's 52nd annual dinner. I'm so overwhelmed to see this tremendous outpouring support for a wonderful organization that is a go-to place for anyone in need. You know, when Ohel first started, it was a very different attitude back then. Many chose to deal with their issues, if I may say, in-house. Others were completely in denial. Today, Ohel serves over 20,000 individuals and their families. Their range of services is really mind-boggling, and they are a true safety net for those who need help. This past year has been a difficult year for all of us, and Ohel's services is needed now more than ever. I'll just say one more thing about right before the pandemic, the summer before the pandemic, I visited Camp Kaylee, and it's incredible to experience and watch how campers interact with campers, campers with staffers. What a heartwarming moment. If you haven't visited Camp Kaylee, it's a true must. So, again, thank you to everyone at Ohel, my friend David Mandel, Jay Kestenbaum, Mel Zachter, and my former constituent, he moved out of my district, Moshe Hellman. Thank you for all you do, to the volunteers, to the staff. Keep up the great work. And obviously, respond generously tonight. Thank you all.
Councilman Kamenyager. Ohel welcomes Councilman Kamenyager. We are proud that the Ohel Jaffa Family Campus is located in Councilman Yeager's district. And as we work together, it will always be for the best of those he and Ohel serve. We are proud to work with Councilman Yeager to serve hundreds of Ohel individuals in his district. Councilman Yeager remains one of Ohel's most supportive friends. We thank you, Councilman, for this. Ladies and gentlemen, Councilman Yeager.
Thank you for that introduction. Following my great assemblyman Simcha Eichenstein is no easy task. He is a legend in Albany in just his few short years that he's been there, and of course my friend David Weprin, who's done incredible service to our community. It is true, I am the fortunate host community of the Ohel Jaffa Family Campus. I saw my friend Yonah Jaffa here a couple of minutes ago. I know he's around. He's talking to people about the importance of supporting Ohel's work. As Simcha said, 2 summers ago, we had an opportunity, myself, Assemblyman Eichenstein, Senator Felder, to go up and spend a wonderful day at Camp Kaylee. And it was incredibly inspirational to see lives being touched by the work that you do every single day, by supporting Ohel, by, forgive the blunt terms, opening up your pocketbooks to people who need it. And the people who Ohel serve need it. So in the council, what I do is I take your money, because you've paid the taxes, and I bring it back home into our community, and I make sure it gets to Ohel. But I can only do so much. What I need you to do is to help leverage the money that we're able to bring home. Help Ohel continue growing, because the need is still there. The need is still there, and it's very real, and it hasn't gone away. So for that, I'm very, very grateful for you being a part of this. I'm very grateful, David, for all of your love, encouragement, your chizuk, just being a tremendous friend, a mentor in many ways, and I'm very grateful for your leadership. Jay, Mel, Moish, I saw earlier, I know you're around. The laymen who lead Ohel, who receive no compensation, but knowing in their hearts that they're doing good work, I'm very grateful for that service as well. Thank you very much. Enjoy the dinner.
Ohel would like to acknowledge Lawrence Village Mayor Alex Edelman, and also Penny Heikind from the Office of City Controller Scott Stringer, and Tova Chastanov on behalf of newly elected City Council member Ina Vernikov. So thank you for being here tonight.
Welcome, friends and supporters. Our program for this evening will begin in 10 minutes. Please take your seats. Thank you. Welcome, friends and supporters. Our program for this evening will begin in 10 minutes. Please take your seats. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, our show will begin momentarily. Please take your seats, silence your phones, and open your hearts. Please welcome Rav David Cohen to share some wisdom.
My habit is to wait until they're quiet. My job is to speak, your job is to listen, and I hope we both get finished at the same time. Mr. Chairman, President Emeritus and Ombudsman, Reb Moshe Hellman, Reb David Mandel, co-presidents, Reb Moshe Zakta and Reb Yankov Kestenbaum, worthy honorees, and in a sense, one can conjecture that we can address the neshama of Miriam Weiss, Alah Shalom. The Palaks, my cousins, the Schlossbergs, the wonderful board and staff of Ohel and Beis Ezra. In Holy Scripture, directions are described in a way where we can learn more than translation. The word for east is kedma, which means front, because the natural stance for mankind is to face east. Therefore, Yoma, which means the sea, is west, which refers to the Mediterranean Sea, which is likened to the person standing in East Israel who is facing east. A wise person observed that if you stand in the Red Sea between Africa and Arabia facing north, Somalia from Smol, the left hand, is to your left, and Yemen from Yemen, the right hand, is to your right. The Talmud explains why one who is frightened in time of war is exempted from battle. This is because if he turns around to run away from the enemy, it is considered putting the rest of the warriors in danger. Because Tchilas Nisha Nefila, the beginning of defeat, is running away. And that person is destroying morale, which leads to defeat. It is therefore fitting for Ohel, an organization that has been a warrior for Klal Yisrael, for many diverse communities for over 50 years, to have a battle cry at this time of forward in strength. Because if retreating is weakness, strength is engendered by going forward. Let us all go forward in strength.
Do you work at Ohel?
The reason I work at Ohel is
Good morning, may I help you?
I'm so happy to tell you that I just got the approval and your son can move in. Isn't that wonderful?
Can you get this to me by Thursday? Amazing, thank you.
Good job, Andrew.
We chose right in you leading this work.
So as soon as you have that paperwork, give it to me?
Yeah.
I finished.
And that's why I work at Ohel.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen him on HBO, Netflix, and Comedy Central. Please welcome comedian and your host for this evening, Modi.
How are ya? Hello, how are you? No, come on, energy, how are you? Yeah! Look, even he clapped. You weren't gonna clap, I know you weren't. This is amazing, this is a live show. It's not a Zoom. It's not Zoom. It's a live show. So wake up. Wake up, table 4, come on, come on. This is it. You guys had Zoom. Ohel was, when Zoom kicked in, Ohel was on it, right? Do you see the Zoom shows and all of that? Do you know, as a comedian, it was the biggest nightmare of all of the pandemic, was the Zoom shows. It began, I'm looking in the screen, and all I see is women trying to figure out where they need Botox. For 3 weeks straight, people just figuring out where they need Botox. And then they finally got the Botox. You remember that? When all of a sudden, all of the dermatologists and the plastic surgeons, they all became essential workers. Right? They were the front lines of frown lines. And every yenta went out there and had her face oizgepat with the Botox, and the screens looked like this. You're really funny, I want to laugh, but I can't. But then it was amazing. We had the Zoom shows, and then you guys are the 5 towns, right? Clap your hands, 5 towns. You guys had no patience for the quarantine. You were having shows in your backyard. Remember that? Oh, yes. Hey, we're doing a show. It's only between 30 and 400 people in our backyard. The backyard was the size of this with a pool in the middle. But we had it. We did it. It was fun. We did a lot of things during the pandemic. My friends and I, we did this thing called 23andMe. Clap your hands if you know what that is. Yes, it's your heritage test. It lets you know where you're from. It tells you your background. And I did it with all my friends, many of them not Jewish at all. We did the test, and then we shared the results, and we got back pie graphs telling us amazing things. Some of my friends were Navajo Indians. They were Norwegian. They were from upper Morocco, Africa. Mine came back 99.8% Jewish. There was no graph. It was a matzah ball with a toothpick in it. That was the graph. The results came back in Yiddish. Do you understand this? Then they give you your health results. What are your health risks? Is it diabetes? Is it hypertension? No, Nazis is my #1 health risk. My friends, I'm surprised that my friends wanted to do it too. My friends are the ones that are afraid of their security. You know, my phone hears everything I'm saying. Just think of something, I get an ad for it, which is, by the way, my favorite feature of the phone. If I need something, I just think it or say it near my phone, and it comes right up. 16-inch oval toilet seat cover, off-white. In 2 seconds, Home Depot sends you an ad. You hit the button. Somehow they already have your credit card online. And before you go piss you again, it's on the toilet seat. My favorite feature of the phone. Now, it's such an honor to be here at Ohel. And I think I'm the first time there's a comedian's hosting this event. Is that true? So they were nervous. They were nervous. Whenever you do a Jewish event and there's a comedian, there's always the keep it clean speech. You got to keep it clean. That's how it goes. You got to keep it clean. Then they give you the disclaimer, not for me. I want to hear your regular act, as if my regular act had dancers on a pole. I don't know what regular act they think I have. You got to keep it clean. Not for me.
always the speech. I did a show, a shaver brachas in the middle of Borough Park, just so you know where my career was. The woman that hired me wasn't just wearing a wig, she was wearing a helmet with an Hermes cover on it. Her husband, a 9-foot chassid with the white socks and the spudik, that's the shtreimel that's on crack. And she says to me, you gotta keep it clean. Not for us. We're not that religious. It's the in-laws, they're from Lakewood. Anybody here from Lakewood? Yes? How amazing, you get to sit with your husband tonight. Congratulations. Now, live shows. This is so amazing. But for me, we've been doing live shows since May. Who am I kidding? Since May. Orthodox Jews in New York had no patience for this pandemic. May 2020 was my first live show for Hatzalah, the telethon. You remember that or no? Amazing. It was May 2020. I get a phone call to do the Hatzalah telethon, my first show. I've been quarantining. I live in Manhattan, but doing 8-9 days straight, not leaving the apartment. I was wiping down my Oreos with Clorox because Sanjay Gupta and Fauci had nothing else to hit us with that week. And then I get a call to do the show, and it was in Crown Heights, the Wuhan of Brooklyn. I get there, and I'm scared to death. I got the gloves on, the feet cover, the astronaut suit, the mask, everything. And over there, no one was wearing anything. I get to the entrance where I was going to take my first time to get my thermometer check. All you saw on TV was the thermometer check. It was my first time. I was so excited. I get there. There's an Israeli security guard doing it. And I knew he was Israeli because the sign said, measure temperature, measure with a Z. I get up there and I lean in. I do that. He goes to me, what do you mean, no? Take my temperature. No. He finally pulls it out of the box, points it at my head, hits the button, and I said to him in Hebrew, Ma mispar, what's the number? He says, En batareya, there's no battery. Go in. What do you want from my life? Kanes. Now we're doing these live shows for an amazing event like this. Are you excited to be here? It's going to be a fun night. You already had your food. Now we have a few speeches. We're going to keep this tight. We're going to keep this moving. First of all, I want to thank and welcome our guests of honor. We have Mark and Shavy Schlossberg. Liberty One Group. Zipporah and Asher Pollack. And we will be celebrating the amazing life of Miriam Weiss. We also have from Israel, the Jacobi and Kaylee family here. Amazing supporters of Camp Kaylee, a camp that allows kids of all abilities to camp together. It's absolutely amazing, and it's exciting. It's going to be a fun night. We're going to move it along. We're not going to keep you here. We're going to hit the buttons and move it on. Now, allow me to intro a movie showing the amazing commitment of Zipporah and Asher Pollack. Please focus your attention. They are also the first recipients of the Rose Pollack Alea HaShalom Young Leadership Award.
Ohel was, the most important thing in I would say in my grandmother's life. From when she came to America, had my uncle, saw a problem, that there was no solution to, And, she and others in the neighborhood got together, helped make Ohel homes to what they are today.
Ohel probably became part of our family almost 30 years ago. For the last 30 years, it's almost had a transformational impact.
Rose was my grandmother. Maishi Pollock is my father's brother, Rose's son. He is someone who has mental illness, and he is someone who lives in an Ohel residence in Borough Park, Brooklyn.
It's very hard to think about where Maishi would be in this world today without Ohel. He's cared for. We have this comfort in our own mind knowing that there are people that are watching over him, that are protecting him, that have his best interests in mind when we're not with him. Ohel isn't just a part of our life, it's almost in the fabric.
I think that the legacy of my grandmother and Ohel is something that is important to myself and my family. It's an honor to her for one of her grandchildren to continue in the legacy, and great-grandchildren, and hopefully, even further down the line.
It plays a big part in our life. We try and implement it every single day and show the kids what it means to us and make it a part of their lives. Sensitivity and kindness and just being all around good people.
Something that really exemplifies Asher's connection with Ohel is that he managed to convince myself and some of our other friends to volunteer as counselors in a summer program run by Ohel, where we were able to care for children with special needs.
Anytime that anybody comes to him with a problem or with an issue, like Asher is such a sensitive person that he kind of just connects with that person and is just thinking about how he can deliver for them.
They're funny and kind, and they care about us. They take us to Orlando a lot.
I think there's something very special about watching Asher and Sephora take on this honor under my grandmother's name, because to me they really almost personify how much of that they carry, right? They have that same drive. That personality where there's that strong-willed, we're not going to take no, that quiet force, because so much of what they do is behind the scenes, and also that empathy.
It's a tremendous honor for us, and it's something that we're really proud of.
It's just phenomenal to me to see them being honored with this in the first year after her passing.
Where's the camera? Hi. We're gonna, the whole thing where you guys walk up to get your award, we're saving you that walk. Please stand. Come on, give him a round of applause. There we go. Congratulations, Mazel Tov, on the beautiful house. I love the way you decorated it, brought everybody in there. Amazing, beautiful, well done, shkoyach, very nice. Okay, one more round of applause for them. Let's take some pictures here. Terrific. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to throw it right now to the CEO, David Mandel, to introduce a special guest we have this evening.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. And our thanks to all of you, to the Ohel Beis Ezra Lifetime Care Foundation, Camp Kaylee Board of Directors, and to all our wonderful colleagues, staff who worked so hard to make this evening possible. Ohel is 52 years old, and the relationship with Senator Schumer spans more than 4 decades. When Senator Schumer was an assemblyman on East 16th Street and Kings Highway, supported Ohel right from the outset. We were developing homes for people with developmental and psychiatric disabilities in various neighborhoods. And as the senator became more influential in his responsibilities, he supported Ohel in many different ways, including 18 years ago, when we opened our shelters for women and children, battered women and children, and Senator Schumer gave us some seed money with a very supportive grant. Most recently, Senator Schumer was instrumental in ensuring that organizations such as Ohel could qualify for the PPP, which was really a lifesaver for businesses, organizations, and Ohel was able to secure support through the intervention and support of many individuals, especially Senator Schumer, for more than $4 million. So tonight it is really a pleasure to welcome Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
David. And let me just say first, David Mandel does an amazingly good job for Ohel. Let's have a round of applause for him. So as has mentioned, I have been a supporter of Ohel for over 40 years. But this year, with COVID, Ohel had its greatest crisis, as we all did. The PPP program was designed for small businesses. And I said nonprofits had to get money, but they didn't want to let religious nonprofits get money. I made sure they did. Ohel got over $4 million and was able to keep all of its employees. I did the same thing for schools. They weren't going to let our yeshivas get money. I said we must, and now tens of millions of dollars are flowing to our yeshivot to keep them as well. And one final thing. We have put over $2.5 billion in the last bill for COVID to deal with mental health services. And Ohel will be able to apply on its own to get this money, not through the state, not through the city. Again, we made religious organizations available. And I have told David, I have told Jay, I have told Mr. Zachter, I've told everyone, I will fight hard to make sure you get more money. I love Ohel. You do Tukino Lom. You do great mitzvot every day. And as long as I'm majority leader, I will continue to support Ohel. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm over here. How are you? Ladies and gentlemen, seeing the videos is always amazing, but hearing a live story of an Ohel story is always better than a video. We have for you tonight an amazing story from Hinda Mizrahi. There we go.
Good evening. So, some of you may know that I have 3 developmentally disabled brothers who live in a Beis Ezra home. Developmentally disabled people are not really good at expressing their feelings. You often never know if something is bothering them or if they're in pain. But the one emotion that they never hide is happiness. It is written all over their faces and in their demeanor. My 3 brothers are happy people. They grew up in a loving, caring environment, and when they moved to the Beis Ezra home, we hoped that environment would stay with them so that they wouldn't lose their happiness. It didn't. In fact, it has grown because their Beis Ezra home is their place, their community, their identity. They love calling my parents, siblings, and I to tell us about their day, their activities, the food that they have, and even the vacations that Ohel plans for them. But the real sign came in 2020 when COVID hit, and my parents decided that rather than have my brothers quarantine in their home for Pesach and the Seders, they would have them come to them and spend Pesach with them. Due to the regulations, when Pesach was over, they were not able to return to their Beis Ezra home, and my brothers didn't understand why. Every morning, they would wake up and ask my parents, "Can we go home now? Can we go back to our house? Why not? Pesach is over." I'll never forget the call that I had when they found out that with a negative COVID result, they can return to their Beis Ezra home. They called me, yelling into the phone, "Hindi, we're going home. We're going back home. Mommy took us for a test so that we can go home." It was pure joy, pure happiness. So once again, I'd like to thank Ohel, its caring staff, its board members, and all of you. Because without your support, there wouldn't be an Ohel. And my family would not have comfort, care, and peace of mind.
Thank you, Hinda, for an amazing story. I see tears in the audience. I also see masks in the audience. Please, you have nothing to worry about. Half of this room is vaccinated. The other half identifies as vaccinated. So please just stay. Don't worry. It's going to be okay. Now, obviously, the story is amazing, and stories like that cannot happen without corporate sponsors and money. So please focus your attention to the video as we honor Liberty One Group.
Right now we're at one of our residences with 10 men who have developmental disabilities. We work on a range of daily life skills, every aspect of their life. The staff and everybody works hard at making sure that they have the best care and the best lives as possible. Liberty One, they're here today to maintain the home.
Liberty One provides a full suite of building-related services from janitorial, housekeeping, building maintenance, and anything facilities related.
Today, Liberty One is at our Avenue M home. We are repairing a shower head, fixing some dressers, taking down the sukkah, and providing daily housekeeping services.
They do a tremendous service, and any other repair that comes about with a home.
It gives Liberty a tremendous source of pride to be involved in OL's wonderful work.
Bye.
Right now we're here at the Fort Hamilton Women's Residence located in the Borough Park. The goal of the program is psycho-rehabilitation and for them to learn the skills to become independent.
I'm here because I need a place to stay. I was in an apartment and I was having a hard time. I was dealing with depression and loneliness, and I called my counselor and said that I wanted to move back to the residence. And she said, okay. So we'll call the head of the residence and we'll see if you can go to the apartment. I feel very good. I feel taken care of. I feel safe. I feel happy. I feel like I can take care of myself.
Typically, the rehabilitation process is 2 years, sometimes shorter, sometimes a little longer. So it's all client-centered, person-centered. It's based on the individual needs in terms of getting them ready for independent housing.
Today we're going to be working on a couple of work orders we got for this home. We have some light bulbs needed to be fixed and some leaky faucets. We're going to be changing some of those pipes. Ohel means tent, and it's great to be a part of Ohel and be under the same tent with them, just helping others and helping out, giving back to the community.
Oshi, they have an award for you. It's a picture of the Kotel, and without the Beis HaMikdash built yet, but I'm sure when it is, you'll get the contract for that. Willst du etwas?
Yeah, sure. Speak. Really, on behalf of Diddy and Jojo and Danny, I should face this way. All right. Hi. Yeah, it's our honor to be a part of OL and support OL in their mission across all the various programs, and whether it be their foster programs, their mental health programs, or their various housing programs, it's really an honor to support and be a part of the OL family.
When I got to this table, I wasn't sure who Ushi was, but when you see, that's Ushi. That's what an Ushi looks like. Schoen weiter. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we've heard from people whose families were affected, from people who are helping these miracles happen, and now we have actual people who have, Now we have people who are actually the recipients of this amazing chesed. This story blew my mind when I heard it, and I'm so honored to be introducing to you Yossi. There you are. How are you, Yossi? Which camera? Yossi, the camera is that way. Let's face this way. Now, please share your amazing story.
Okay, so every Friday night, we sing Eishes Chaya Miyimsa, a woman of valor who can find. And this is to tell you how my Eishes Chaya, Goldie, found me. Back in the day, as they say, about 30 years, more than 30 years ago, the Ohel men's home and the Ohel ladies' home were right next door to each other. That was a miracle in itself. One time, after Goldie and I had come to those residences, and we didn't really know each other, but she found out that I was going to attend a parade. And she wanted to go with me, but she wasn't sure how to go about it. I mean, a woman doesn't ask a man out on a date. So that Motzi Shabbos, miraculously, we met outside the home, and she came over to me and she said the following: Yossi, I heard you're going to the parade tomorrow, and I want to go with you, but I told my counselor, a woman doesn't ask a man out on a date. So the counselor says to her, come on, Goldie, it's 1990. I said to myself, I never heard a line like that before. Goldie, of course you can come with me to the parade. So the next morning we got together outside the home. We walked to the subway, and the rest is history. Next month, 27 years, Kanai Nahara, we've been married. And thanks to Ohel, who's always in our corner, always had our back, always takes good care of us, we stayed together. And thanks to Goldie especially for standing by me when I wasn't feeling well. And what can I say?
Thank you very much, Yossi. Mazel tov, 27 years. Okay, so now we've heard from people who receive the chesed, people who make the money available for the chesed, and now every organization such as this has what we call legends, people who bring a legacy to an organization. Miriam Weiss, Alea Shalom, is one of those people. Please focus your attention to this amazing video.
The one word that captures Miriam Weiss to me is heart. Miriam had heart.
Miriam was passionate.
Determined.
Miriam was always a person that had a smile on her face.
Miriam was the wind beneath my wings. Selfless, caring, supporting.
Miriam was a force of nature.
Professional. Respected by all because she respected all.
She was a fundraiser for the organization, a very talented fundraiser at that. Yet she went well beyond that.
Miriam worked for the people who were served at Ohel, for the thousands of individuals. That's who Miriam worked for.
Success for Miriam was very different than for many other people. Success for Miriam was changing lives. Success for Miriam was creating happiness.
She always said she had two families. She had her own family and the Ohel family. The joke of the family was that if you're having a baby, make sure you have it after the Ohel dinner so it doesn't conflict.
One thing I remember about Buddy is that whenever she would come visit us, she was always so excited to bring the cookies that the clients at Ohel made.
Everything was 100% to her family, 100% to her family at Ohel.
There was nothing that she gave an impression was below her. She did what had to be done. She had a tremendous amount of respect for anyone who called.
She made me feel like I belong.
And she makes everyone feel that way, no matter who you are.
That was the combination of Miriam. The love of the individuals, the work, the passion, and the love of fundraising.
Her face lit up if she was in Ohel. Her face lit up if she was talking about Ohel.
She taught me to believe in myself. She encouraged me to move forward.
She was actually like a surrogate mother, a surrogate sister to all of us.
Her challenge was, how am I going to make that person, either the young child or the older adult, happy, believe in themselves, and just go on and want to live?
She was one of the leaders that accomplished so much in a very subtle way, and as I said, extremely unassuming.
So my life changed as a result of my relationship with Miriam, because she made me work harder. She made me smarter.
She was driven, she was warm, she was loving, and she was caring.
If I am here right now, is first God, and after that, Miriam.
Whatever you're doing at the moment, do it well. And I think she lived by that motto, and that's something a message she would probably want to leave to her family, friends, staff, co-workers. She's sorely missed.
We'd like to get some personal story. Yes? No problem. The co-presidents I was told to introduce. Mel, want to say a few words?
Miriam's love for Ohel's clients was so very deep. She never rested until she knew that the needs of the clients was taken care of and was taken care of for the better. Miriam had a special program that she took care of each and every year. She organized it, she raised funds for it, and she took each and every year over 200 mental health clients to a retreat, a special retreat where she, together with our professional staff, had a 3-day retreat. It was something very, very special that so many people have told me over the years. This special retreat was something very dear to her, and she felt very strongly about over those years. And because of that, the board of directors of Ohel is very proud to dedicate the Miriam Weiss Summer Mental Health Retreat Program from this day forward. Mazel tov.
Jay Kassenbaum.
Miriam considered everyone special, whoever you are, whatever you called for. The year Chani and I were honored, I called her late Thursday night, right before the gala, with some table changes. Of course, she said, I have it, I'll take care of it, and do you need anything else? Anything that was important to me or you was important to Miriam. She was a true professional.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please clap your hands if this is your first time attending Ohel's Gala. So far, we've seen videos about people, about certain programs. Now we're going to see a video in general about what Ohel really means. Please focus your attention to the monitors.
the only agency that provides Jewish foster homes for Jewish children in the entire city of New York.
I've been working at OHEL for 19 years, and it has been an incredible experience for me. We're helping people realize their dreams of productivity and socialization and friendships and love that every person out there wants.
Camp Kaylee is extremely important to the community because it provides a very unique service. For campers with a disability, it provides an opportunity for them to enjoy a full camp experience without feeling different, which is so important to many. And for campers without a disability, it opens themselves up to a sensitivity to appreciate differences.
We started out as a children's service, and as we all know, people are young, have young families, young adults, they get older. So it was only natural for OHEL to develop amazing, excellent mental health services for older adults and their caregivers.
OHEL is an organization that really embraces innovation. I'm really proud of the fact that we have 30 therapists that are trained in the most cutting-edge practice models.
The work that's done is so important for the community and for so many people that it's just, it's such a pleasure to be part of it.
1 in 7 individuals will experience some type of a mental health event in their life. 1 out of every 7 people is a lot of people.
I have bipolar disorder, also known as manic depression. A friend told me about OHEL. After a few months, I was admitted to OHEL, and I would say that they actually saved my life.
Prior to the pandemic, 1 out of every 3 calls was to help with anxiety. Today, 2 out of every 3 calls that we receive requires some type of assistance, some types of intervention with anxiety.
I made the call to OHEL because it was the middle of the pandemic, and I had a mother who was 91 years old. The name of the group that I joined was Caregivers for Holocaust Survivors. People didn't have anyone to talk to, and here I had people, you know, from my own religion, from my own community, who were in the same situation, and they gave me strength and support.
Mark and I have been married for almost 25 years, and we have a 14-year-old, Sammy, who was born with a rare genetic syndrome called Angelman syndrome. Our family experienced a major tragedy about 6 years ago when Mark woke up one morning and had a massive stroke. Overnight, I was really thrust into the position of being a full-time caretaker to 2 people and the breadwinner and trying to raise a typical 9-year-old.
People look for support, whether it's for mental health or the uncertainty about reemployment or family issues.
OHEL said, well, why don't we try to get you weekend support? In a couple weeks, she had gotten the forms filled out and gotten it approved, and we had someone on board.
We will help you deal with uncertainty. That's why OHEL remains a viable, necessary organization for so many communities.
I felt that OHEL delivered a little piece of magic. It's by far a much different organization than any organization I've worked with. It's peace of mind, and for me in particular, it's providing safety and security for my daughter.
Find yourself or reach your full potential, and that's what OHEL is helping me to do. So thank you, God, and thank you, OHEL.
Yes, thank you, OHEL, for a few things. First of all, for spreading the movies out tonight. Usually when we do these events, you guys have been there, they show one movie, everybody's crying, everybody's miserable, everybody's tired, and then they bring me on. That's how it usually works. You've seen it, right? You've been, diseases especially. I get tired for those. They bring the movie on, the guy's up there. I did diabetes last week. The guy's up there, I lost my sight, they took my toes with this machine in my pancreas, and here's Modi. But tonight, wow, they already set it up. Tonight, we're moving it along. Ladies and gentlemen, now to talk about the actual, how OHEL helps during times of tragedy, please help me welcome CEO David Mendel and OHEL's Zachter Family Chair in Trauma, Dr. Norman Blumenthal.
Good evening, Dr. Blumenthal.
Good evening.
We're discussing a very serious topic of trauma, but I'm wondering how many people will have difficulty with a small trauma, with a small T, taking off their bands tonight when they try to leave here. I just want to take a moment before we begin the conversation to introduce, to welcome newly elected Councilman Ari Kagan and newly elected Councilwoman Rita Joseph, and we welcome them this evening. Thank you very much. Many people in the audience that are here this evening and that are watching live stream are familiar with Ohel's work throughout New York City, Nassau County, and regionally and far beyond New York. We want to take a moment to talk about Ohel's work in trauma, tragedies that have occurred across the United States. One of the most earth-shattering tragedies, pains that can take place in a family is when a young person, unfortunately, takes their life, a suicide. And there are people in the audience that are familiar with such situations, unfortunately. Dr. Blumenthal, can you speak a little bit about the work that you do and the team that you lead in helping a family go through this very, very life-altering event?
Yeah, though still rare, unfortunately, suicide among children and teens is escalating dramatically. I think the latest statistics in the CDC attributes suicide as the third most common cause of death for 5 to 14-year-olds. Now, there's two pieces to that. One is the prevention, which our clinics in Tikva work on in terms of screening for suicide and preventing it through psychotherapy. Our work in the trauma team is what's often referred to as postvention, which is helping the family, the school, the community after the death of a child or a teen from suicide. And a lot of that work is to come around to recognize that mental illness is a disease like any other. And most cases of mental illness we can heal, we can cure. Occasionally we can't. But to cast it in that frame, that it's the death of an illness, not necessarily, no different necessarily than cancer or strokes or COVID for that matter.
Can you speak a little bit about the relationship between anxiety and trauma and the work that we do to alleviate that in schools?
So anxiety among the adult population is the most common reason for referral to mental health professional, and statistics from the Orthodox Jewish community shows that's true as well. It's the third most common reason for referral for children. And anxiety is eminently treatable. And we work on treating it not only in the clinics, but one of the exciting programs that we have in Ohel is a school-based program in anxiety in which we are affiliated, I believe, with over 40 schools, in which we're training teachers and school personnel to recognize anxiety and to treat moderate levels of anxiety in the classroom before the referral is necessary, and to recognize when the anxiety is so severe that a referral is necessary.
You've responded to both man-made and natural disasters. You and the Ohel trauma team, the crisis team, have responded to such events as wildfires out in Malibu, California. We were out there.
Right.
You, Tzivi Ryder, the crisis team. You responded to the floods in Houston, Texas.
Yes.
You responded to the shooting in Jersey City.
Mm-hmm.
Most recently, you and the crisis team went out several times in Surfside, Miami. Talk a little bit about what happens when you're out in a situation such a devastating that affects individuals as well as the community, and do you stay there for 1 hour, a day, weeks? How does that work?
Okay, as you enumerated all this, I began to realize why nobody wants to ask me what I do for a living. But yeah, what we do is both simple and complicated. It's simple in some respects. We can't undo the tragedy. So when we came, example, to Surfside, 3 days after the building collapsed, we couldn't undo that tragedy. What we do is very much akin to a very famous study in which they had people climb a very steep hill and assess how hard that climb was. And they found consistently that when people climbed the hill alone, they found it much harder than when they climbed it with someone else. So to some extent, I think the simple part is that we help them climb the hill. We join them. The hard part is to stay in step with them and to understand and recognize the hill. That's where the skill comes in. Our work is immediate. We come shortly thereafter. I think Surfside is a very good example. We came 3 days afterwards, and I returned 2 weeks later. And our work goes on for months. Trauma has a way of remaining dormant for a while and then coming back and haunting the person. So sometimes the victims of trauma, we want to hear from them for 2-3 years, and then we'll get a spate of calls in the span of 1 month. So as I say to everybody, you don't have to get everything done now. Here's my number. You can call me 24/6 at any time, no matter how much after or immediately after or distantly after the trauma.
We've used the word trauma many times in this conversation. What is trauma? Explain it to us in easy to understand words.
I think the best definition was probably the famous quote from Viktor Frankl. As many of you may know, Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist who survived Auschwitz and developed a whole style of therapy based on his experience. And his famous line is that an abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation is normal. So what we're dealing with, both in bereavement trauma, is the abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation.
I've heard you talk about the doors of trauma. What are the doors that you refer to in trauma?
So those are situations where there's a great deal of ambiguity. Again, Surfside is a very good reference. When we first came to Florida, a lot of the families were still hoping that their loved ones would be found, their loved ones would be okay. And they're waiting in that family room in the hotel, actually in the hotel that we stayed, and they didn't know whether to be hopeful, to prepare for the worst eventuality, for something in between. And that kind of ambiguity in and of itself produces a great deal of anxiety. So what we would tell them is, imagine there are 3 doors in front of you. One door is the best case scenario, which is they find your loved one and he or she is fine. The next door is the worst case scenario, that they find your loved one's remains. And the third is somewhere in between. They find your loved one, he or she is injured or somehow medically compromised. And visit each door as you need to. Visit each eventuality. And what we do is we foist on the ambiguity a certainty. And that certainty is comforting. So we gave them a way to tolerate that period of waiting with all that uncertainty.
Give me your life's work in 30 seconds. How would I know if I experienced trauma, something happened to me, and I'm not sure if I need help or not? Give it to me in 30 seconds that I should understand that I should seek professional help like yourself.
So I think what's the trademark perhaps of trauma is that a traumatic event is something you want to forget. As my mother, Ohel Shalom, would say, besser nicht wissen. You want to forget it, but you can't. It comes back and haunts you. Sometimes the way I put it is your brain keeps taking you back, whether it's flashbacks, trigger responses, or comparable types of events. And when something that climactic happens, that you want to forget it and you can't, that's probably the hallmark of trauma.
So you've dealt with people who are terminally ill. You've done unfortunate death notifications for individuals. You have dealt with communities. You've dealt with families throughout the country in varied communities, all types of communities. In Houston, Texas, it was a Jewish community, and in Malibu, California, it was a Spanish-speaking community, and everything in Jersey City, it was a Hasidic community, and everything in between. Is the work different in different communities?
There's always a cultural piece, but trauma is trauma, and death is death, and that's the universal human experience. So there's certainly a whole lot more commonalities than differences. It's part of the human condition.
More commonalities and differences. Dr. Blumenthal, thank you very much.
Thank you, and
thank
everyone for giving us the opportunity to do this work.
Ohel is extremely, extremely fortunate that we just received word last week that Ohel is the recipient of a very significant grant from a foundation. We're very proud of the work that OHEL does. Dr. Blumenthal and our colleagues in the trauma team and the crisis response team, locally, regionally, anywhere that we're called. And this grant will enable us to extend our reach and to do the work on a national level. And tonight, we are very, very proud to announce the Ohel Zach the Family National Trauma Center. And we are also very happy to announce the Brescia Family South Florida Trauma Center. That will enable OHEL to do the work to respond wherever is needed across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, for joining, for supporting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. and David. As you see from tonight, for something like OHEL to function, you need koyach, you need kishkas, you need energy, you need a village, and you need what our next honorees would describe to me as leadership. Please focus your attention for a few more moments on the screen as we see some information and an amazing video about the Schlossbergs.
Shavy and I are fortunate to have been brought up in a home where our parents and grandparents really served as the quintessential role models, teaching us the value of chesed. When David Mandel and Rivka Wilimowski came to our house to ask us to think about OHEL, we felt like this would be a great time to give back.
Chesed is a critical part of both my parents' lives. They, both in their own way. My mother, as a doctor, when people are going through tough times, they know that as a medical professional, she's even-minded and she can help them. My father, he's a financial advisor, but more than that, he's been instrumental in building some of the institutions that we grew up in.
Both of them only want the best for every single person that asks them for advice.
Over the years, I've always seen how Mark and Shavy are always willing to be involved in the schools that we were commonly in and in their shuls. They always wanted their children to see how important it was to be involved with community.
My parents have inspired me to be open and accepting to all kinds of people. They just like to make people feel welcome.
They're always there for me and nice to me, always there to help me.
My parents have inspired me in every way. In particular, they taught me in their relationship what it means to, care for each other and look out for each other and be able to put someone else first.
They're so selfless and caring and warm and generous to their family and also friends and people who they don't know.
My parents always talk about giving back. It's something that they take very, very seriously and always love to help people.
I think our first real experience with OHEL is when our kids went to Camp Kaylee.
It's a camp where children get to go from all sorts of levels of abilities. It's a win-win all around.
I went to Camp Kaylee after 8th grade, and I had a great summer there, but it wasn't co-ed, so I didn't have the chance to meet Rebecca.
I went with a bunch of friends to Camp Keeley. It was the second year that it ever existed, and I had heard a couple people come back from the first year and say incredible things about it.
I feel like in my time as friends with Mark and Shavy, I've always seen that they have strong values and strong want and need to help others in a quiet way.
I think what's impressed me most is the breadth of their services, and it really allows the people in these homes to feel like they're being productive, integrated with society.
We were just very impressed with the scope of the whole thing.
It's important to give back. So it plays a part in everything that we're doing. It goes far beyond just giving charity. It's giving time. It's trying to be creative and helping people.
Congratulations, Mom and Dad. No one in the world is more deserving of this than you.
Mazel tov, Mark and Shavy. Thank you so much for being involved with OHEL.
Rebecca and I are so proud of you for accepting this opportunity to support OHEL.
Mazel tov, Mommy and Daddy. We love you so much.
Mommy and Daddy, we are so proud of you.
And I'm so proud of you. Stand. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause, the Schlossbergs. Watching that video, here's a gift for you for Hanukkah coming up, the miracles and the miracles you provide for others. I'm watching that video. I cannot believe how beautiful the teeth of everybody in your family is. Even the one that married in, Rebecca, gorgeous teeth. Oh my God, you're an anesthesiologist or a dentist? I'm in shock. Who's your dentist? There she is. Give her a round of applause. The teeth in that was floss. If you learned anything tonight, floss. Amazing. The 5 towns. You really are. Congratulations. It's such an amazing. I heard such wonderful things about you. And is there anything you want to add, or are you good? You're good. They're good. That's. We want to take a picture here. David, you want to join us? Wonderful. Thank you all very, very much. One last round of applause for the Schlossbergs. I'm going to head back upstage. We are almost finished. Is that amazing? Soon you guys will be fortunate to receive a par of dessert. That's the build-up for the evening, a big par of dessert. Now, someone said to me, I can't believe you mentioned the vaccine. Is it that sensitive of a topic? Come on. Clap your hands if you had the vaccine. Give a clap. Oh, is it good? How good is that vaccine? I got that January. When that came to New York, I pulled every connection I had and hopped the vaccine right away. The night I went to get it, they had 3 they were going to throw away. I said, give me the other ones too. It's so good, the vaccine. Oh, my God. There's something in it no one's talking about. There's something in that vaccine nobody's talking about. Once you get that vaccine in you, somehow all of 2020 becomes a blur. You're walking around the house going, how do I know so much about wine? Why am I following Yentas on Instagram making sourdough bread? Why have all the Syrian Jews moved to Miami? And why is there a Peloton bicycle in my living room? All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been my honor to be a part of this event. This is, no, for real. I do a million of these events. And each one is special. If you're here tonight, there's a reason. You're in the Ohel. You're in this energy of giving, of receiving, of sharing, of laughter. It was just a fun evening. It's an amazing event. I'm so happy I'm a part of this family now. And we have, finishing off, we have David Brescher. David Brescher, the president of the camp. Of all the things they brought me up. Now, let me come on. The camp is insane. The camp is what blew me away the most. Their story was incredible, but the camp was unreal. You have kids that have no disabilities and kids with disabilities together. Who really is the benefit there? You saw the children of the Schlossbergs. You know what kind of a child that is? When you put that on a shidduch resume. When you put that on a shidduch resume, that brings you a top-notch collar, right? So to speak about the camp, please, David, the president, David Brescher.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All the wonderful accolades of Camp Kaylee have been talked about this evening. I was asked to wrap things up quickly. But first, I'd like to thank Modi for doing an excellent job. And, of course, Modi, on behalf of the entire board of directors, I want to thank you for working clean. Not for me, of course, I'm cool, but for the other guys. Yeah. I want to thank all of the guests of honor this evening. Just unbelievable, your support of Ohel and all of the things that we do. We commend you, and this is something that I can tell you as a former guest of honor, you'll carry with you for the rest of your life and will benefit your families tremendously being a part of the Ohel family. So mazel tov to you all. Thank you. We heard a lot of wonderful announcements, a lot of new things that are coming about at Ohel over the next year. One of the most exciting announcements this evening is about next year. It is truly an honor for me to announce next year's guests of honor. Next year, we will have the privilege to honor Ben and Yael Englander as Ohel's guests of honor. So we're looking forward to that. The only disappointing part of this evening, I would say, is the knowledge that we did not have the opportunity to do this last year. This is an incredible, energizing event. Ohel is an incredible, incredible organization, and we hope to see you here again next year, bigger and stronger once again. So, without further ado, it's the moment we've been waiting for 2 years for, what we've come to expect every single year, to wrap up this wonderful event. It's my honor to introduce Moshe Hellman to sing Hamalach HaGoel.
Hamalach HaGoel Osi, Hamalach HaGoel Osi Mikol Ro, Yevorech Eshan Yorim, Vikorei Bohem Shemi, Hamalach HaGoel Osi, Hamalach HaGoel Osi Mikol Ro, Yevorech Eshan Yorim, Vikorei Bohem Shemi. V'shem Avosai, V'shem Avosai, Avram v'Yitzchok v'Yitgol Arov, v'Yitgol Arov b'kerev haaretz. V'shem Avosai, V'shem Avosai, Avram v'Yitzchok v'Yitgol Arov, v'Yitgol Arov b'kerev haaretz.
Bye.